Saying that I've actually never had a real job.
Well, what gave you the confidence to go do it on your own?
You don't need to learn more. You need to be reminded more.
Go make your damn calls.
Yeah.
Have your contacts, you know what I mean, or however you want to say it. But
In my opinion, over 5 years, it's always going to be a good time to buy it.
but you also have a really cool system for people that's coming in if they're interested in a new process. What is up, everybody? This is Randall, mortgage broker with Sullivan Home Loans. I like to interview real estate agents that are kicking some ass because this way they can provide value to you. And today we have Hector Hernandez on. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Dude, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I like to have people that's on
Congratulations.
fire. Thanks, buddy. I like to have people that's on fire. And last year he sold 21, is that right?
21 units.
21 units, and he's on fire right now. And so, yeah, I just wanted to see what's up with you, man. So tell these people, how'd you get started in the biz, man? What brought you into real estate?
That's a good question. So it's pretty interesting. So I'll start off with saying that I've actually never had a real job where I clock in and clock out, right? So when I was 17, 18, I started a mobile detailing business. I'm pretty sure I've spoke to you about it, but started that. I ran that for like 2-3 years. And my dad has a background in general contracting. He's been in the business for over like 18 years, 20 years. Wow. And he would always, during the summers, I would always go work with him, right? And I would do the demo and stuff. And I would see all these multi-million-dollar houses. And then when he would finish them, it'd be like, wow, like these are insane homes, right? So that kind of sparked my interest. And that really is what got me into real estate. He told me, he's like, why don't you just get your real estate license? And at that time, I was doing pretty hard labor. And during the summers, it was the worst in mobile detailing. I would be sweating, had to wipe down the seat again, sweating, wipe down the seat again. And all I would envision would be like being in a suit with AC, just looking really sharp and showing homes, selling homes and everything. So that was really the vision. Got into real estate school. And from there, it's just pretty much history.
Nice, man. And whenever you started, what'd you do for like your leads? How'd you get clients?
Cold calling. Cold calling. I didn't really have a big sphere at that time. When I started, I was 21 years old. Nice. So I didn't have a big sphere. Not many of my friends were buying at that time. And that's not an excuse, but it was just cold calling. Nice. Yeah, expired FSBOs. Actually, my first deal that I ever closed was a for sale by owner.
Really?
Yeah.
And so that's basically been your name of your game, right? Is cold calling. That's the number one lead source you have, right?
When I started, yes. Now it's more referrals and open houses.
Fantastic.
But cold calling is still a big part of my business. So it's going to be referrals from my sphere, from my past clients, which I absolutely love them. That's how they keep me in business. Yeah. Open houses for any listings I have, for any listings that are on the market, and expireds and for sale by owners.
So talk about that then. So what's your day look like? So, referrals don't usually just stay in touch with you. You usually keep in touch with them. So how does that look? What do you do to stay in front of them?
Well, right now I'm doing monthly mailers, and just last month I closed a lead just because of the monthly mailers, right? It's nice. Like infotainment, and then sometimes I do market updates every other few months. But just infotainments, and I always have a tagline that I love your referrals. So I actually ask for the referrals before I never ask for them, which is kind of mind-boggling, right? Yeah. I would always think like, why didn't I get referrals, or why did I not do a good job? But it's like, you don't know unless you ask. So I started asking, and I started getting more referrals, right? But that's how I stay in touch with the monthly mailers. I do quarterly calls for all my clients, and I'm going to start doing, actually, I just transitioned out to be solo, so now I'm going to be doing client events as well.
That's awesome. And so whenever you say something in the mail, is that something like an actual card, or do you do handwritten stuff? How do you do it?
Well, I do handwritten stuff, like birthdays, anniversaries. Obviously, if I know their actual, like if it's a husband and wife, and I know their anniversary, because every time we close, we send out an email with a lot of questions, like about their life, their kids, their pets.
Awesome. I like
what's their favorite restaurant? Because then I just recently sent a $25 gift card to one of my clients that I saw on Facebook. It was her birthday, and I said, hey, happy birthday. Coffee's on me this weekend. Just simple things like that, right?
That's awesome.
Because I didn't know it was her birthday. It wasn't in my CRM, but now I put it into my CRM. But
that's cool.
So I sent that out. That's pretty much kind of how I do it.
And so do you still do like cold calls in the morning or something to still reach out for listings, or how do you do that?
Yep, every morning.
Yeah, and what do you call on whenever you do?
I always start on expireds. So I upload the list right in the morning, so it's fresh data, and then I start calling, and then it's usually around like 100, 150 records in the morning that I go through, and then it'll just go to the other records that I have. I usually do it for like around 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you're mostly listing heavy, right? Because of that?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So whenever you show up to a listing appointment, like that's from an expired compared to a referral, talk to us about that. Like, what's the difference? How do you game plan for going into an expired, listing?
Well, I treat them the same, even though it's a referral. I don't take that lightly as like, oh, I have this business, because I don't, right? Nothing is owed to me. But what I do is I do a lot of prep work, because that's where you'll get the listing, right? I want to make sure I'm the agent that knows that neighborhood the most, or I guess the best out of anybody they meet, and even better than them, that they even live there, right? Because if I can show my knowledge to that neighborhood and show them the numbers and the data, rather than speaking through emotions like, oh, this is beautiful, let's list it 100K above list price, right? That doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
I'm always very transparent with them, and I always tell them, I was like, look, this is the data, this is not my opinion, and I walk them step by step on how I came up to that number, and the process of what I do to sell a home, right? A lot of people don't really, I've noticed, they don't care about the process of it, right? What they care about is getting the home sold and actually understanding what their situation is what I have found.
I love it. And so what is some of your process though? Like, as far as, since agents are listening to this, like what would you say you do different that gets you the listing? How do you market the home?
I care about the person. I care about
nice.
actually helping them. So
Nice.
I don't go in there saying this is going to be another sale. I go in there trying to find out what their situation is, how this is going to benefit them with their families. If they're relocating, I want to make sure that everything, I guess my goal is to have the sale to be as the most smoothest sale they've ever had it. Because real estate is one of the toughest things you can do in a lifetime. Just moving and doing all that is pretty frustrating, right? So I just want to take all that stress away from them.
That's awesome. I love that. Cool. And so what would you say right now about like if it was a good time to buy or sell, what would you say to that?
Well, it is. I mean, if you can, it always is, right?
Yeah.
Real estate can go up and down, but if you plan to stay on a property, in my opinion, over 5 years, it's always going to be a good time to buy if you're able to afford, if you're able to be at a comfortable mortgage payment. And if you have to sell right now, I mean, most of the people that are selling right now are people that need to sell, right? I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are just wanting to sell and then putting it on the market, especially with the market we are in. And if you're looking to buy and sell, no matter if it's a bad market, good market, neutral market, or balanced market, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be a give and take all the time, right?
No perfect market, just the market we're dealt with right now and how to best take advantage of that market, right?
And that's what we're here for, right? To navigate them for a best possible outcome with what the market can bear.
I love that. And so as far as getting leads, what would you say getting leads is like in this market? What would you say you've done different, or is it the same? Do you not focus on it? You just keep charging forward? What would you say?
Charging forward, doubling down, right? Awesome. You feel, as a real estate agent, you feel when the market shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
You definitely feel it. And it's a weird feeling because it kind of just naturally comes to you. So when that time comes and fear kicks in, that's when you lean in and you go even harder.
I love it.
Right? More touches to your past clients, more open houses. If you're doing 2 hours, do 3 hours. If you're doing 10 connects a day, do 20 connects a day, and et cetera, right?
It's kind of along that philosophy of grow your network now to grow your net worth later, right? I always love that saying. But now when the tide changes, now you have all these people and all these connections, you're just going to make all that much more money, right? So going to open houses, though, what would you say are a few things that you do in open houses that you actually, because you convert a lot of open house leads. So what would you say you do to convert those leads?
Well, I guess it's not a magic pill process. But what I do is having the open house input it into the multiple listing services at least 7 days or 6 days prior to doing it. Because in that way, if you do it the day before, people are probably not going to see it. The other thing is having as most signs out there as possible.
How many usually put out?
Around 12.
Awesome.
Around 12. And if you're partnering up with other people, you can have up to 20. Right?
I love that.
So, and hitting main intersections, having a storefront, right? I think that's the biggest thing, because the first impression is everything, right? unfortunately.
Yeah.
But having a storefront, what I mean by that is having your table, having a cloth on it, and having everything organized. So when they come in, they're like, oh, wow. Like they just get
Interesting.
impressed, right? Because a lot of buyer leads that are coming into open houses, they're not just buyers, they're also sellers. And most of them are going to be the best sellers too, right? So if they get the impression, wow, this guy takes his business serious, they will actually invite you or have more conversations with you along the lines of, hey, if I sell my property, I want him to do or have that same standard when he holds an open house at my property.
Love that. And what do you do for like a follow-up process? If you meet them at an open house, what's your follow-up process to getting them and turning them into a client?
So I think this is, and because I'm speaking from experience, this is what I think gets a lot of agents. They get the leads, they spend 4 hours, 3 hours at an open house, they leave. They don't put their leads in their CRM. They don't send them a text. They don't send them listings, and they follow up with them on Monday or Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So my process is once I don't leave the open house unless I take a face recorded video saying, hey, this is Hector. Thank you so much for stopping by at my open house. I know how valuable your time is. So I just wanted to say thank you. If you have any questions on this property or any other property, I'm here to help any way I can, right?
Love that.
Now, the reason being, is because you're putting a face to the name, and next time you touch base with them or to send them a text, they'll remind you, or they'll see your video and they'll know who you are with that interaction you had, and then putting them on a search based. If you don't know their search, do it close by to that property, the same criteria, same price points. If you're holding it on Saturday, do it on Saturday, and then call them the next day. Hey, just wanted to give you a quick call. I'm not sure if it's an excuse to call them, right? I don't know if you received the listings I sent you. Just want to make sure they're in the ballpark of what you're looking for.
Love that. And so what do you do after that? Like, let's say they ghost you on that. What would be your next follow-up?
Calling and text. I feel like the biggest thing is always getting on the phone, because text is, Sharon says this perfect. Conversion is in the conversations.
So true. I love that you said that.
So yes, texts are great.
Yeah.
But really, you get all the info and you get their motivation, their location, their timeline through a conversation, which is on the phone, right? So the goal is to get them on the phone probably once a week. If you think they're a hot lead, maybe every other day. Every day.
Obviously, all the good agents have that philosophy now, right? But a lot of agents also say, well, I don't want to bug them. What would you say to that person?
Think about it when somebody's trying to sell you things, right?
Yeah.
But you're actually interested in it, right? It's just not somebody cold, like somebody's trying to sell you car insurance. You don't think that those calls that they give you are annoying or anything, 100%. But it does the opposite. They stay top of mind with you, right? So just kind of reframe the way you think about things. And saying, okay, am I bugging them, or if I'm actually trying to help them? And right before you call them, I'm actually trying to help them. I'm not bugging them, right? Just say that to yourself and reframe everything.
Yeah. In other words, if they're looking for a house, all you're doing is adding value that they actually are looking for and searching for. And if you're not the one in front of them, Zillow is, Realtor.com is, and they're getting all the value from them. They might as well be getting it from you instead, right? Correct. All right, so I was just kind of thinking of it, but you just went out on your own. So what gave you the confidence to go on your own? And also, what was the deciding factor that made you go on your own?
I went out on my own because I think it was time for me to bet on myself, right? I was on a team, and I'm super grateful for that team, right? They taught me everything. But I got to a point where I knew it was going to happen at one point, and I just decided that, well, speaking back to that day, I was like, this is the day that it's going to happen, right? I want to bet on myself and build my own business to my liking and just go from there, right?
That's exciting, man.
Yeah.
What gave you the confidence, though? Like, what was real estate's pretty big on mindset.
It is.
And what gave you the confidence to go do it on your own?
Well, I'm glad you said mindset, because I've been actually working on my mindset for the past year, and you're never ready to do something, right? There's a lot of fears and doubts, and you have to navigate in your head on how to overcome all those things. So don't get me wrong, I was super scared, right? But there was this one thing that I heard. It said once, and I believe I said it earlier, when you feel fear, lean into that, because on the other side, there's going to be a breakthrough, right? So I just bet on, and I was at a point in my business where I knew I had the skills to actually close properties, close deals and everything. And That's really the reason why, right? The confidence was there, but not there at the same time.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was going to make it work out.
Yeah, and so for people that are listening, he was talking about whenever you have a fear, you got to ask yourself more questions. We are the quality of questions that we ask ourselves. Correct. And I thought that was great. And I could tell even whenever you walked in, you could tell you're doing a lot more mindset stuff. So maybe that's a good question. Like, what are some things you're doing to keep your mindset right?
I have a personal coach. His name is Arash with Foss Coaching Co. And he works a lot on personal development, right? And we were actually just talking about this. Your I am statements are so powerful because growing up, we're taught in a certain way and we have those habits called paradigms, right? And obviously, it's just a big topic, but we do everything out of habit. So kind of going back to the reframing things into your mind that go into your subconscious mind to just kind of rewire everything in the way you look at things, right? That's just awesome. Working on that, like really reframing everything, accepting and rejecting ideas. So if a negative thought comes in, I reject it right away. And I replace it with a positive, I guess not a positive, but something that's actually going to take me to my goal and acting like the person that I am from the goal, right? Because I'm not working to the goal, I'm working from the goal. Right?
That's awesome. It's a very common thing that everyone that's producing higher volumes, they're constantly working on their mindset. So that's pretty cool, man. What would you say, going back to like listings, what are some things you do on a regular basis? Like, are you a big stager? Do you stage a lot of your homes?
It depends on the client. If they're willing to do, to cover the staging, right? And it all depends too on the negotiation, like on the compensation fee. Yeah. If the compensation fee is higher, then I will cover the cost. What I've been actually doing right now, which is super helpful, is virtual staging, especially for clients that don't want to do staging. On my personals, I think staging works fantastic.
Yeah,
it does, because it really gives a visual to people on what the furniture would look like in a property. And sometimes when there's a blank canvas there's just too much that you're thinking about, and sometimes the size might look different, either small or big, depending on the type of person you are, right? And the way you look at things. But I think staging definitely helps.
That's awesome. I love that. And so do you also do like the in-between where you do like a light staging if they maybe have some furniture in the house where you go put like some green plants in there and, some nice little decorations at least to brighten it up a little bit or whatever?
Yeah, so that would be with a consultation from one of the stagers I use. She will go out there actually and assess the property on how it looks, right? So what she does is she then sends a detailed email saying, hey, remove this, add this, change this. That's and awesome. It's super detailed. Like, I don't think all of the clients do it, and I wouldn't advise them to do it because it's just a lot of things, but that's kind of something that we do.
That's awesome. And so you kind of go over it with them and say, this is the stuff I'd focus on. Correct. Do this part. Yeah. And so whenever you go to your listing, then do you bring a lot of papers with you? Do you bring a lot of your past sales with you? What are some things you bring into a listing appointment with you?
The appraisal style market analysis, which is comps, right? And how I actually get to the value of it. Not me personally, but the actual data of it, the recommended price, what the competition is, 3 actives, 3 pendings, 3 closed, and having them understand it how I'm looking at it from a data perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want to sell your home for the most amount of money, but what does the most amount of money look like in this market, in your subdivision, within half a mile, within a mile? I think it all just comes down to how the property looks, the condition of it, pricing, and how you're going to promote it.
I love it. Okay, so going to the buyer side of things, there's a lot of people right now that feel they're just showing a lot of homes to buyers. They're more hesitant. What do you feel about that? And then what do you do to help maybe get them some clarity so they make a decision?
Well, buyers have a lot of options right now. What's the saying? When you have too much options, you kind of feel stuck.
Yeah.
Right? And what I tell my buyers, first of all, I think the initial conversation should be, what does your dream home look like? Or if it's not your dream home, what does the home that you want to purchase next look like, right? So you honestly ask them 1,000 questions and show them 10 properties rather than 10 questions and show them 1,000.
I love that.
1,000 homes, right?
That's fantastic.
Understand what they want, what lifestyle they want, because then now you can send them hand-picked listings based upon what they've told you, and then that way you're sending them things that they actually would like to see, right? And when you're there, you say just use a scale on a 1 to 10. What does this property look like? Or what does this property seem to you?
Yeah, I love that.
If it's an 8, then anything else that you see and it's not an 8, it's so you're trying to find that 10, right? I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's
Okay,
awesome.
perfect.
Ask a lot more questions. This way you have more clarity.
Yeah.
So this way you can hand pick the homes and
Yeah.
you're shooting at a smaller target that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Hector, if you had like a newer agent right now that was getting into the business and they were really looking to do a lot of listings, what would you say are a few things, a few pointers, like where would you direct them? What are some things you would, like some how-tos you would give them?
It's funny you say that. So I just went to an event last Thursday, and something stood out to me. And the speaker on the panel said, "You don't need to learn more. You need to be reminded more." And that's going back to the basics, right? And when we get to a certain point in our business, I think we forget what actually got us there. And that's something that I'm going to be actually have been working on since yesterday, right? He said 3 hours a day of lead gen. That's your oxygen for your business, and getting 20 connects a day. And what that means is 20 contacts, right? Of 2-minute conversations. There's no way you'll lose. There's just no way, right? Because, and believe me, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I got to 11 yesterday and I dialed probably for 3.5 hours. It's tough.
It's a good point though. Narrowing it down to it's like you cannot fail if you just have 20 conversations.
Yeah. And it's the mundane things that sometimes we just don't want to do, but we have to, right?
It's well said. As a matter of fact, I was just at an event last week for the mortgage broker side, right? And I love that you're bringing this up because they said the same thing. I mean, everyone's looking for that magic pill. So you keep doing all these extra classes and all these extra things, but it's like, go make your damn calls.
Yeah.
Have your contacts, you know what I mean? Or however you want to say it, but have these conversations with people. That's what ultimately drives the business. You know, it really is that simple. Now you can get better at those calls, right? But that's really what drives the business. So, all right, man. So a little bit about you. I see you're always running these like 11 miles on social media, man. Do you do that like every day or what?
No, I'm actually training for a half marathon in San Diego. Believe me, I don't want to be running 11 miles.
So that's why you're doing that.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so typically though, you're more of a like a lifter, right? You're usually in the
I
lift.
lift more. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So my goal is to run a marathon, right? And believe me, I don't like running. I don't do it, but it's also hard and it's something I don't want to do. And I think that just builds up my personal development in business and just in my life in general. And the cool thing about it, I actually do it with my girlfriend, Natalie.
That's
right?
awesome.
So that's just our bonding time too. And it's pretty cool seeing her push through all those things like myself. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
All right, so one last question though, brother. With the real estate market the way it is, what are you doing to stay top of mind with your clients? Like, are you big on social media? You know, I know you mentioned a couple things, but, you know, are there some specific things you're really focused on right now to stay top of mind?
Yes. So since I just transitioned out, I'm working on my processes and systems right now. So we're going to try to shoot for one weekly email to all of my past clients or my sphere or anybody that has influence, right? And by influence, I mean that know me as my first name. And when I call them, they know who I am. And also I am going to be going into social media because now I'm going to be building my brand. Again, calls, client appreciation events, and all of that, right? It's the little things that I believe will make me top of mind, the postcards as well.
And just staying consistent with it over a period of time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so where would you like these people to follow you on social media? Like, what's the platform you like the most?
What I use the most is Instagram, Hector AZ Realtor.
Cool. And I know you're not really looking to grow your team right now, but you also have a really cool system for people that's coming in if they're interested in a new process or coaching. Tell them a little bit about that then.
Yeah, so there's a weekly Tuesday Zoom there's a lot of value on it from 8 to 9. So it won't go through your lead gen hours unless you dial at 8. But I'd be more than happy to send it to anybody. And also any of my cold calling scripts, expired FSBOs, happy to send them on over.
So what are a few things they can expect, or can you really say much about like what to expect on that call? Like if they were to get a link from you to join that Zoom, like what are a couple things that they could expect from that?
It's high level conversations, people that are killing it and sharing what they're doing, if it's expired calls, if it's open houses, if it's referral business, if it's a YouTube, if it's data confidence, whatever it is, there's something for somebody there, right?
And it's people that are actually doing it, not
they're
just
actually
people
doing
talking about it and not closing loans or closing houses.
Correct.
I always say loans,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, it was super helpful for me, and honestly, I've been going to it for the last 7-8 months. So
That's awesome. Well, Hector, it was amazing having you, brother. I appreciate it, and I can't wait till next time.
thank you, Randall. Appreciate you. Congrats.
Thanks, buddy. I hope you guys got some good value out of this one. And if you like content like this, make sure to subscribe and follow us for more content just like this. The next guest is going to be as good or better. You don't want to miss it.